I want to ask, if you ask the majority of the Ukrainian people, do you think the majority of the Ukrainian people want to be part of NATO or not?
I think, yes, the majority of the Ukrainian people would choose NATO, and that has background. And the same thing happened in Armenia. The people chose Pashinyan again, although they were defeated in the war, right? But this is a direct result of decades of indoctrination. It is not, people think that democracy, people can just make up their mind. No, they don't. The vast majority of the people believe what the TV tells them to believe, what is written in the newspaper. And the proof of that is whatever happened after the pandemic. The vast majority of the people, they don't have their own opinions. Their opinions are being told to them by so-called experts on TV outlets, right? So the same thing goes in political affairs during elections. For example, in Germany, and I will mention this example because it's pretty obvious, the Greens in Germany, how did they get 23, 24% in these last elections? How? Because in the past 4 to 5 years, the media was pumping the issue of the environmental catastrophes into extent that people think that we're going to extinct in a few years. It's serious fear-mongering. And I am not saying at all that there is no global warming, because there is. But the implications of it, we are not sure yet if it's going to have such a big catastrophe, because in some places they could have, but in other places they will benefit from it. For example, in Russia, they will benefit from global warming because the northern part, it will be, they have millions of cubic of gas that they cannot extract now, and they will be able to do it. And the areas that cannot be inhabited now, they will be, like this geography will be inhabited with people. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is the media influenced the youngsters' opinions through Greta Thunberg and many documentaries, videos, reportages on daily basis. Greta Thunberg came here for a demo, and like tens of thousands of people gathered around her. But when it comes, for example, when it comes to an anti-war movement, you will see maybe 10, 20, 30 people gathering, right? So they form the priorities of the people in a way that it affects your electoral choices. And when the elections came, and when you think the only priority now is the environment, which is one of the priorities, by the way, but it's not the only, right? You will choose a party like the Greens, which claim to be pro-environment, but they are one of the most warmongering parties ever in the European continent. The Greens are responsible for funding the white helmets in Syria, these head-chopping radicals in Syria, right? And they still send donations to the governorate of Idlib in Syria, well knowing that Idlib is the largest safe haven for Al-Qaeda terrorists in the entire world, and the last 2 ISIS leaders were hiding in Idlib, right?
So, and they know that, but to the media, like they say, they are humanitarians and they are doctors and they're helping all the children and so on, but they know that in reality they are jihadists and they are cutting heads and doing all of these.
So what I'm trying to say, free choice is, I wouldn't say it's an illusion, but it's a very difficult thing to believe that it exists in all people, because most people, in my opinion, they are driven by what the media is telling them. Like why the environment wasn't a priority 10 years ago when it was, but the media decided that. And of course, behind the media, who is behind the media? We all know the media is funded either by the state or through billionaires, right? They are corporate media outlets. They're not independent media outlets. So we have to see this conflict of interest. Why would a billionaire like George Soros fund media outlets or journalists? Why would Bill Gates fund the BBC, fund NPR, fund tens of media outlets and journalists? Do you think they're just human-loving people that they're just trying to help the environment. Of course
Yeah.
not. There is a conflict of interest. They have business, they have companies, they have projects they are gonna promote. So of course, unfortunately, the career of being a journalist has become so ridiculous that lots of journalists have become what I call prostitutes, because they are prostituting for the interests of a third parties, that they don't benefit anything from it but a fraction of the money. But in
Yeah.
exchange, what do you get? They give you some prizes, they praise you, you become very famous, so they pump your ego and you think that you're a very famous person, when the fact is you're just a servant. I mean, what is the difference between me, an independent journalist, and the journalists who receive prizes on international arenas? I just didn't sell my soul.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Exactly.